In today's video I have a Fujitsu 10 car cassette radio. Not sure if they put that brand on them when they're actually original equipment, but it looks like it's been pulled out of a car as an original factory one. Just the big standard connectors on the back. I thought they often used to put, you know, whatever brand of car was on the front, and then you'd open it up and you'd have a label with Fujitsu 10 or whoever made it on there. Where's the model number on this thing? Sub-assemblies. It's probably just not an actual model number, but just a car maker's part number or whatever by the look of it. But I mean, I picked this up basically for nothing with some other junk, so I thought it'd be interesting to have a look. It does have security light, so that may mean this one needs a code putting in. And if it's not 000 or something, well, we don't have a 0 button, so it's definitely not that. There may be not much hope of doing anything with it anyway. It'd probably just be a parts unit. But it'd be interesting to have a look at the cassette mech in this thing and see what it actually uses. Oh geez, it's going to bend before it comes. That should just pop off. Sometimes they're a bit reluctant. Just click that a little bit. That's why they put a hole there, I guess, so you can prise that a bit. And yeah, they often tell you what screws you can use in the sides of them, how long, so you don't wreck the mech or anything. Don't know if this would be a tension mech or what it would be, but it could be one of theirs. We do have some black print on it, which they did, but anyone could have done that. We've got a cross there. It looked like the screws have been out, so I wonder if it's got a faulty radio unit in it. May just be the usual dry joints or something. Probably worth a quick look. And this is one of the horrible ones because you've got to take everything out the top. Luckily the board isn't massive and this one doesn't go right under the unit, but usually means you've got to unscrew all these controls from the front, take the heatsink off, take the mech out, take everything to bits just to get the thing apart. This probably does have standard connections on it. Let's see if we can get these knobs off, but I don't know if I've got a wiring diagram. They're probably online these days, or you used to be able to buy the universal sort of tail adapter type things, which were standard colours, to save you having to work out what the connections are. But I have zero idea what's connected to what on this thing. I'd say going by that many connections, it might have been a 4 speaker system. It's a ton of connectors though, a lot of them probably aren't used. I'll have a quick look at what's involved in pulling this apart. The usual plethora of little clips and stuff. By the look of it, but this is a sort of 90s unit, I guess. All the front circuit board comes off with the front panel. Looks like we've got a couple of screws there. Maybe I don't have to undo those. I can just take this whole chassis part up by the look of it. Possibly can remove it with the mech and everything intact. I don't know, they varied a bit, but most of these later units were like this. They stopped putting a removable bottom on them, so to do any work on them you had to dismantle the whole thing, which is why I normally never touch the things except for my regular customers and stuff, because I really didn't want to chase this sort of work. And you know, one of the hassles being working out the connections to them, since people always just pull these out of their car and the wiring harness stayed behind naturally, so that just made them all the more difficult to work on. Are we supposed to take this off? Looks like there's a separate chassis with a bit of metal on the amplifier chip or whatever, so it's got a decent heatsink on this thing, so I assume it was a reasonably high power unit. Certainly not out of your cheapo car. No, it did have heatsink paste on there. So ideally you don't mess with that. How's this? Oh, I see. So that's chassis coming off. Looks a lot like we may have to take that off. It's just kind of got a little pin there holding it, I think. It's under the circuit board here. So I've undone most of the screws on the circuit board, but it's not even showing any signs of moving. There's probably screws under the tape mech. Can't see any. At least these things you can see where the screws go. That should probably be loose, you would think, but is it clipped or something? I can see a tab. So this side comes off, does it? Is that what that's looking like? Looks like it is a separate piece of metal. Or do we just slide it up or something? I think that's what might happen here. There we go. Now, I don't think I've ever had one of the sides came off before. Not sure if that's a good thing or not, but that's what's stopping the circuit board lifting, I think. Oh, here we go. Oh, so that's quite a nice design. I like that. That is better than most where the sides do not come off. So Fujitsu did a good job there. We're still, you know, because we've got those attached to the front panel. Do we need, I guess we might as well take the tape mech out anyway. It's probably the only part of it that's any good for anything. Let's loosen that bit of metal off. Well, that was half the fun with these. It's not that long to take apart, but always you had to learn every one as you went, sort of thing. And they always seem to take a long time just because they're new. So I still can't see much of the mech there. It's got quite a bit of circuit board. There's a big circuit board. Looks like it's got the heads or direction switch, or is that just the tape? Radio switch, solenoid. Oh, we've got a date here, have we? August 97 S2, 31st of August. So it's a 97 model. So some car that came out in 97 most likely had these in it. Not sure, I remember seeing Fujitsus in some brand of car, but I can't remember who used them. Probably multiple people used them. Each manufacturer seemed to have their favourites. Ford, I know, used to use horrible Phillips head units that all the plastic bits fell to bits in. I'm not sure what Holden used. Probably whatever that one was I looked at recently, which I forget. Eurovox, I think. Not sure what Toyota used. Mitsubishi, I think, actually made their own Mitsubishi units. And I don't see any dry joints. This is actually very nicely soldered, which is good to see, because a lot of these units would fail. Even the Sonys and stuff of this era, tons of dry joints in them. This is actually probably one of the best soldered head units I've ever seen. There's not any sign of dry joints that I can see there. Keyed AGC, ASC, a couple of little surface mount trim pots, but that tuner module's really nicely done. This is actually looks like a pretty high quality unit. I'm impressed how well this is built, because most of them, like I say, even the Sonys and stuff, were not that well built. They used to get lots of dry joints on the amp chips, tuner modules, even the sockets on the back. And because these things, that's the thing, even the electronic modules and a lot of Fords and Holdens and whatever, they play up because the soldering's not that great in them, even though they're made for cars. But something goes in a car, gets the hell vibrated out of it, and extremes of temperature and all that sort of thing, so they're known for getting dry joints because of that sort of thing. The vibration plus temperature usually seems to be one of the worst things to cause dry joints. FM oscillator, mute SD, oh, that's that keyed AGC. It looks like I've got the motor, CS mute, cassette mute maybe, CS/AR. No indication of what any of these are. That big pad's obviously earth. Where's their amp chips? Oh, of course it goes through a fader just to make life more difficult. I assume it does. Oh, here we go. At least we've got something written here. Balance, accessory 5 volt, volume, ground, P on. Well, that's your actual power switch, I guess, which is, so let's say power volume. Do we press it? Pull, balance. Yeah, that'll be a pot with a center ident. Yeah, I reckon it's just a momentary contact power on. So that just goes to probably that microprocessor there. Looks like we've got a voltage regulator, super cap for memory. Well, there's our indicator of the main B plus. Is you look for the filter inductor there, and is that diode? I reckon that might be a polarity protection diode. That's soldered to ground. Where are the actual pins on this thing? Oh, they must be on this end here. Is that the end of that inductor? Yeah, it is. Oh, gotta watch I don't put my fingers on that paste as well. So that's the main B+. We've got a diode which goes, I assume, to ground. Is this, oh, what's, yeah, soldered on there, so it must be the ground plane. Should have the cathode there. So that's a polarity protection. A lot of CB radios had one, but it was also a Zener diode, so if you went over like about 18 volts on a 12 volt CB radio, or if you put the power in backwards, you'd either short that diode out, which would blow the fuse, or just the fact that it would conduct with the wrong polarity would blow the fuse. So there were a protection device, sometimes it would blow the diode up as well, or short it out permanently. So that's like another extra feature that a lot of manufacturers wouldn't waste their time doing. If someone tries to jump start the car backwards or something, at least your radio should survive. Just blow the fuse wherever it is in the car. So this could even, being so modern, it may even have CD inputs or something. Doesn't look like it's a changer controller or anything. Don't see any CD type functions. Oh, tune track. There you go, track. That probably means it can, oh yeah, there you go, disc, up and down. So this can run probably a 5 disc. Probably why it looks like a higher end model. It may have come in a car with a 5 disc CD player in the boot or under the seat or somewhere, just to make life more difficult. I wonder if there's any point hooking power up to just that and seeing if it does anything. Let's say it won't though. I'll put the front back on it. I'm not sure, maybe I could have left that heatsink on there. Maybe I should put it back on regardless. Just so I'm not dealing with that mess. Okay, I'll put the heatsink back on as well. And what am I on? Well, we're getting a spark. And that's about it. Don't think we're going to get anything, no. So the next thing is if that's a voltage regulator, can we find one of the pins goes back to the, assuming that's probably ground. Not sure if that heatsink's ground though. Maybe the crystal, oh, that's ground, we know there, nothing there. So that's not your standard 5 volt rig, I don't think. Could that be a regulator? Instead we've got a big capacitor there, which could be audio related. That's not even grounded, yes it is. Wait up, what? Shouldn't be grounded on that side. Oh, that goes to that pin. Ah, so that's just the normal B+. So utterly useless. That's connected to the B+. All our leads are disappearing here. Okay, I had a poke around on the internet. Turns out this thing label that's damaged here, that should be TMCA, Toyota Motor Company of Australia. That's their part number, 86100 YC140. Possibly used in a Toyota Prado from the late 90s. And that's like the Fujitsu assembly number. I guess their kind of model number. So it's a Toyota one. Poked around, couldn't find any definite stuff. It looks like possibly the two pins next to each other are the accessories and B+, so I might just hook up to that and see if anything happens with our 12 volts. And if nothing does, well, not much I can do with it really. Oh yes, something's, gonna say nothing's happening, but we've got a display. I'm not sure this thing will run without a tape deck in it, but let's try turning it on. Oh, we've got a radio. One thing I wasn't thinking about is what were all the speaker connections, but I was expecting this to come up with a code thing. Oh yeah, it goes to FM. Oh well, we might actually have a working unit. The fact that it's switching back like that to clock, don't know if that's normal or not. Oh, it looks like we may have presets, so they're probably not actual presets. Oh yeah, there's actually got a CD button on it, so I didn't even notice that before. Tape, AM, FM, 2 FM bands, so you can store plenty of channels. Oh, well, there you go. But we may need the tape deck plugged in to do much more than that. Whoops. Shorten the power supply to the chassis there. Yeah, I should have put that in first, I guess. I've got no chassis to hold it up. But yeah, pretty much a useless piece of equipment in the modern world. If I've got something I can poke under, poke my toothbrush under there maybe. Try not shorten that onto the board. And maybe well, I guess we've got a chassis connection there maybe. Takes a second, up comes the display. Power on. Now I can't get tape up. Uh oh. It's AM FM. No, tape doesn't want to go now. Well, that's weird. Put the tape deck in and we can't switch to tape. Brilliant. Though maybe that's, I know why, because without a cassette in there it probably is not going to let you go to tape. Oh, we have tape, yeah, it's gone to tape on the display. And we can switch to radio now, yeah, that makes sense. It must have thought the tape player was in there basically, or a cassette was in there, because I had the mech unplugged. Whoops. Being a late 90s one, it probably didn't get that much use anyway, if any use. I guess we'll have a look at the heads and stuff. Can I eject it? There we go. Problem with these, it's very hard to see anything down in there at all. What is going on with that head? Looks like it's got some strange bands on it. Where's the pinch roller? Of course they retract. Yeah, they got a little bit of dirt on them, but I don't think they've had a lot of use by the look of it. Not like car cassette players used to look like. They used to get constant use if you weren't a big radio fan. So I still don't know if we can identify that mech and who made it. But this may well even be a working unit, but pretty obsolete and useless in the modern world. Maybe in 50 years someone restoring some old Toyota will want one. It's almost from above looks like it's got a couple of copper strips down the side of the head. I don't know what I'm seeing there. I don't know if there's anything on this. Some numbers stamped down the back there. Maybe if we take the bottom off we can see something. But really this is the only part I was interested in, is what sort of mech it's got in it and whether we can use some parts out of it. Because I don't really want a car cassette player for any reason. 1960 0701 on the board. Little gears and whatever. What's the belt like in this thing? Actually seems fine. whether it works so well under load. Interesting little gear with little cutouts all around it. I'm not sure what the point of that is. And sure enough, absolutely nothing to say what this is. Got some more stuff on the headboard here, 1960 0705. So anyone could have made this thing really. 2H14 stamped in that bit. But no real maker's mark. So it's got M, is that a Matsushita or something? Motor MCI 5U3 LCA. Yeah, really not a lot in these things of much value. Some nice little screws in it could be handy for something. Like Walkman screws. Another little one on the board. Yeah, but I don't really know what to do with these things these days. Bit of rust in there. So something's dripped down into it at some stage near one of the capstans. And yeah, not much else to say. S2 on the solenoid. Didn't have to be any, I don't think I saw any sign of manuals for these things. I guess I could try and look up a manual for a Fujitsu and see if anything is out there anywhere. You never know, it might say what sort of mechanism's inside it. But yeah, it's otherwise a bit of a mystery. But I think I'll call it quits on this thing pretty much. So you can, looks like you can put that in with while leaving the heatsink on. I just didn't realise those sides had to come off. So I might put it back together and we'll see if I can find out the speaker wiring. But there was some picture someone showed of a connector like that with heatsink around it and all the pin outs, and it sounds like that might be the one. If that's got the speakers, I can then hook them up from the outside anyway. Okay, I had another look at the pin out for this thing, and it does seem to be the same unit. Showed the earth and the power in the same places. Turns out these 4 pins up this end between the top and bottom are each channel. So you've got like positive on the top, negative on the bottom. And I think this other plug here has got the rear speakers or something. I think they were the front there, rear on the other one. But I'll put it on screen anyway. And I'll just plug the antenna in as well. I've got that channel running fine. I guess we should test the tape player out as well. Where's the tape I don't care about? That'll do it. Oh. Well, that seems to work. Although we seem to have lost it. I probably bumped one of the presets. How do we save it? Do we just hold a button in? There you go. So that should lock it into that preset. So the only thing I'll do now is just check the other channel by just moving across one pin. Try not to short anything out here. Oh, actually I went across too far, didn't I? So it's those 4 on the other side of that little white plastic divider there. I'll put insulation tape over that because these clip leads don't, I'm sure they used to, the good ones used to allow the plastic to slide right up to the end so you could avoid shorting anything out, but they've gone down in quality since then, even though these are quite old now. They're so poorly made that you can't even insulate them fully. And because I turned power off, we've lost our memory. That's the other channel. I guess we should check it on tape as well. Can we change direction? Yeah. Pressing, oh yes, there's program on the rewind fast forward, so you just press them together. That was the usual way a lot of them did it, to change direction, showing it as up and down direction, which is a bit weird, but maybe that's the only spot they had on the LCD. Whoop, I think our sound's disappeared. Crappy clip leads. Tape's a little reluctant to come out, I think. Yeah, we've got the old sticky mechanism problem. Sometimes I just need it clean. Sometimes they're even a little bit bent or something. Quite a common problem with car cassettes. It might come good even just with a bit of use. After so long probably not being used. I think that should, yeah, it's a little reluctant still. Feels a bit tight there. But I'd say that's a completely working unit. Other than my crappy clip leads. And I just shorten something out. Come on, what are you doing? But yeah, I'm still none the wiser what sort of mechanism it used. Could be Tennyson or something, could be someone else's. I say there's a fair chance. I think they made a lot of the car cassette player ones, but there were other companies out there making stuff, so who knows. And what did I say? I think it had 96, which might be that 996 on the motor or something in there. But pretty much a useless unit these days, unless someone, like I say, wanted to restore an original car or something, which I don't think anyone's doing with late 90s Toyota Prados, but you never know. But that's what it supposedly fits. Could well have been used in other Toyotas or something. I doubt they only had it in one particular car, but it's possible they did. But typical sort of Japanese head unit. If it hasn't had too much use on the tape, they just keep going forever. I was very impressed with the soldering in this, so that's a lot better than many. Of course, I always saw the ones that failed, so people bring them in for repairs because they're full of dry joints, so I sort of have a bit of bias there. But yeah, most of the units I saw, of course, were full of dry joints. This one's actually really nicely made. It's good to see some good quality automotive, but of course Toyota are known for their reliability, so they probably also pick quality Japanese manufacturers that are known for reliability, because you don't even want the head unit failing in your car or giving it a bad reputation. But that's that thing all tested. So thanks for watching.